One of the questions we get quite often from people who are retired is, how do I give to charity? How can I give efficiently where I actually get tax benefits? And how do I give confidently so that I know it doesn't negatively impact my financial plan? Hi, my name is Matthew Boersen, and I'm the managing partner at Straight Path Wealth Management. And today I want to talk to you about some smart ways to balance your charitable giving, balancing the difference between giving now versus making sure that you still have a secure financial future. How to give generously and how to reduce taxes so that you can give more to charities and give more to nonprofits instead of paying too much to the IRS. And so I want to start a little bit with a case study. And so if we think about a 60-year-old couple, they've just retired and they have $1.5 million inside their portfolio. And they come to us and ask, hey, how should I do charitable giving? I want to support my church. I want to support also a local nonprofit. I've given generously in the past, but now I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the balance. I'm nervous about how much I can afford to retire, and I'm nervous about the impact that it's going to have on my retirement projections. And so we walked through a structured process with them that helps them do a few things. First, we line itemed out a budget inside their retirement plan that included charitable giving. So they had a specific charitable giving line item that allowed them to budget and think about how they wanted to give and be intentional about how they wanted to give. They could give generously inside that. They knew exactly what the plan was, and they knew how it impacted their retirement plan every time they gave $1. We also then used donor advised funds in the first part of their retirement to structure batched giving in high income years. I'll talk more about donor advised funds here in a little bit, but that was deeply impactful to saving them additional taxes, making sure they got tax deductions and tax advantages for their giving, which freed them up to give more generously. And then once they turn 70 and a half, we have kind of a stage 2 plan, which allows them to start doing qualified charitable distributions out of their IRAs. And so we were able to structure a plan that allowed them to give more than they thought possible, allowed them to be even more generous than during their working years, and allowed them to still feel confident about their retirement. So let's talk about a few tax-smart gifting strategies for charities. So first, I mentioned donor advised funds in the case study, and that's really the first one that we look at for many of our clients. And donor advised funds give us two big advantages. The first is that they allow us to batch deductions into one tax year. So one of the things that we run into with many clients is with the standard deduction being higher, that they many times give to charity, but they don't even get a tax deduction for giving money away because they have such a large standard deduction that that's what they're taking every year and they're not itemizing. Donor advised funds allow us to batch 2, 3, even 4 years worth of giving into one tax year, allowing us to get above the standard deduction and actually see a tax advantage from their charitable giving. The second advantage of donor advised funds pairs with the second strategy that we many times talk about, which is giving appreciated stock. And so appreciated stock, if you've held it for more than a year and you have some large gains in it, you can donate that stock either directly to the charity or to your donor advised fund and get a full tax deduction for the full market value. That's important because if you're getting a tax deduction at the full market value but never having to sell the stock, you get to fully escape the capital gains taxes. When that stock then goes to the charity or goes to your donor advised fund, it then is typically sold. That charity, because it's already a nonprofit, doesn't pay taxes. And so the only group that misses out in this whole scenario is that the IRS gets less tax money. The charity gets more money, it doesn't cost you as much, but the IRS doesn't get their tax revenue. The third strategy that we many times talk about with clients, and this is exclusively for people over the age of 70 and a half, is qualified charitable distributions. And so QCDs is what we refer to them many times, are things available to people who have IRA accounts, they're over age 70 and a half, and they can give directly to charities out of their IRAs. This is important because if someone over 70 and a half just gives normally to charity, they take money out of an IRA, they have to count that as taxable income. And then when they give money to charity, they have to do an itemized deduction. They have to take a Schedule A if they want any charitable benefit. However, QCDs kind of flip the script on that, and we're able to give money directly to charity out of their IRAs. It counts against their required minimum distributions, but we never have to count it as taxable income in the first place. This keeps things like adjusted gross income lower. It can potentially keep your Social Security taxed at a lower rate and has all kinds of benefits. So if you're over 70 and a half, QCDs are many times the first place that we look for charitable deductions. And last, there's a new update coming in 2026 as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill that was passed in July of 2025. And that is an above the line deduction of up to $2,000 for married filing jointly couples, where they can do an above the line deduction of up to $2,000 of charitable deductions without itemizing. This changes the game a little bit and can be paired with that donor advised fund strategy that I talked about before. We'll batch still 3 or 4 years together, but then still keep $2,000 out per year to take advantage of that new deduction. So those are 4 strategies that can have a huge impact and can save you a lot of money in taxes, allowing you to give more. And I think that goes to the next point that I want to encourage everybody to do, which is to set a budget for gifting. When you look at your budget at the beginning of the year, make sure you include a line item for what you want to give to charities. That allows you to be intentional, it allows you to give generously, and it allows you to give confidently. I would also encourage you to think of other ways that you can give more than just money. Many times local charities need your time as much as they need your money, and especially for people who are retired, giving some of your time and volunteering for that charity can many times be more valuable than even the money that you'd give. So look for other more creative ways that you can participate charitably in your local organizations. And lastly, there's legacy gifting. And so many people want to leave a lasting legacy after they've passed away. We've worked with clients to potentially name charities as their IRA beneficiaries. We've looked at ways to do donor advised funds and overfund them intentionally so that their kids can start operating them after the fact. There's lots of great legacy gifting strategies that are out there that can save you taxes now while giving a large sum to charity later. And the last thing is to always give in ways that match your values. And so many times people are just haphazardly giving to charity and they're not actually giving in line with what they think is important and what they value. Making sure that you give in line with your priorities, in line with your values, and making it an important part of your financial plan is how you'll get fulfillment from your charitable giving. If you've got questions about any of the strategies that we've talked about, please reach out to someone on my team or to me personally. We'd love to meet with you and walk through the different strategies depending on the stage of life that you're in. The best way to give charitably, to give generously, and to make sure that you're getting all the tax deductions that you can get from that giving.